I just finished a hard 1 hour practice into the slight wind, but it was going with the current. And coming back, we're supposed to have some wind on our back, but it's going against the current, so it's very sticky. So I'm not good in doing scripts, so I'm just going to speak straight from the heart because I know it by heart. There has been a lot of discussion about, you know, stroke for dragon boat, drills for dragon boat, drills for stand-up paddling, which is even worse because you have a long lever. And there's a lot of debate in the stand-up community. What is the right stroke? Do I do a longer stroke or a faster stroke, piked over and jab, 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 or do I do the long, relaxed stroke? In Outrigger, we had the same discussion. But I will tell you one thing. Our Tahitian brothers are unbeatable. They are probably the best in the world overall. Yes, Hawaii is always trying to beat them. And we learn from them too. So I gotta give credit where credit is due. Our Tahitian brothers, intuitively, probably not explaining in what I call pure physics, discovered the physics of it and always doing it right. Because they go by imperative testing, right? They've tested everything possible. That's their whole life. So they've discovered what kind of physics work for the boat. So in stand-up paddling, in outrigger, in dragon boat, what called single blade paddling, surf skis, pretty much the same, but let's talk about single blade paddling. So there's basically the physics of what moving fast means. A lot of times I get a lot of, you know, I guess you can call it hate mail that, you know, I don't know what I'm talking about. Yes, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. All I do know is physics is immutable, right? And then biomechanics of the human body and physiology is mutable because we have different levels of skills and technique and fitness. So, but the physics does not change. So if your technique, what you're coaching, disrupts the laws of physics, then it's not going to work. You can convince other people that's going to work by sheer force of will or whatever, ignorance on the recipient's point of view, but the physics don't change because you're good looking. That's what I know. So, for example, the best way to keep the boat moving is to keep the engine running as much as possible. So there has been some debate about, you know, in one man or 6 man, maybe it's different. In one man, you know, you're the stroker, the engine room, and the steersman. I try never to use my foot pedals because I'm kind of stingy. Every time the rudder moves, it's braking, so it slows me down. So when you get older like me, you need every little advantage you can, just like that run we just did. Guys are in the 40s kicking your butt, right? Yeah, you're getting older. I'm 58. I'm thinking, well, I should be satisfied with that because, you know, they are a lot younger than me. But, you know, that's not the issue. If I do it right, I should be able to not lose by that much because I have to harness the laws of physics to my advantage and to squeeze out the last bit of biomechanical advantage I have left as we all age. All of us are getting older. We're not getting younger. So knowledge, respect to the laws of physics matter. So there's a simple thing called a hit drill we used to do a long time ago in Outrigger, where we have everybody follow hit, hit. And you know what this does? Do you know why they call it muscle memory? You can drill like that, but when race day, practice time comes, gonna unknowingly have a little pause there. I can tell you, on my 6-man crew, on our boys in the crew, my steersmen, you know, I get if I'm a stroker, I get so much shit for having a little microsecond flutter here, for holding it for just a second, a split second. I'm even talking about 5/100th of 1 second, and the whole boat will know, because you just paused the whole boat. And in Dragon Boat, you got 20 people. Well, I tell all the Dragon Boat coaches I'm coaching, you know, first of all, let me be clear, I'm Chinese. You know, I have great respect for dragon boating. And, you know, dragon boating traditionally for hundreds of years had been a festival kind of a program. You know, you do it because it's a New Year's festivals, and it's a clan thing. Every clan had their own team, just like every club on the island has their own team. So sometimes those days it wasn't meant to be a professional sport. You had to go work in the fields or do some work. Only in modern times, sometimes we have professional paddlers. They paddle for a living. It's true in stand-up, outrigger, surf skis, you know, every sport, because we've made it into a professional sport. But it's not necessarily the physics are correct. If you're a pro, you better be winning races, because that's what you're paid to do. So you do everything you can to win. But for the rest of us, you know, I'm trying to just do it as a weekend warrior. I get 2, maybe 3 practices a week, 2 or 3 hours a week. So I got to make the most of it. So the physics matter. So if you think about a hit drill, right? When you practice that, the muscle memory gets you to be slower. It's the facts. Because what does the physics mean? Every time the minute you stop exerting force, the boat is slowing down because of hydrodynamic drag. If an airplane flew where the engine fired off and on, off and on, off and on, guess what? That plane will crash, right? Because the engine jerk, and that moment, the minute the engine's off, that plane is dropping. The minute the engine's off, the plane is dropping. So the minute your paddle's on the, and I don't use the word exit pedal, you know, I call it release. The minute you release the power, the boat is slowing down for it. So the faster your return is, the faster you go, because your boat is slowing down less. Now, biochemically, you know, if you're super young, super fit, you can keep the high, fast return rate and just always in the positive power stroke, power stroke, power stroke. You know, most humans, even Usain Bolt, the world's fastest sprinter, can only sprint at most for 20 seconds. I don't care how fit you are, it doesn't matter. Right after that, you're going to go into decline. Right? This is your anaerobic sprints. You just can't keep that in mind. You're not switching to aerobic recovery yet. So if whatever you do causes the boat to slow down, right? Then you know it's not going to work. You can argue the opinion all you want, right? This is my style. I do this because it's easy. Well, yeah, it's convenient, but it's not necessarily right. So physics is binary. It's either right or it's wrong. There's no, you know, it's almost right, or it's sometimes right, or partially right. I'm sorry, I see any black and white, right? What is not black and white is somebody's degree of accuracy in their technique, their fitness, and their mental toughness. That's why we make excuses about physics, because you can't acknowledge to ourselves that we as humans are flawed. Physics does not change. The universe, law of the universe does not change unless you're in a black hole. That's a whole different topic. So I'm just trying to make sure, right, that this is not about debate. Right? We're talking about physics, right? Everybody has their opinion. And I respect all coaches who have their own style of coaching. But ultimately, the results show up in the races. And I don't care about races that much anyway. It's too old to race. But I can tell you, effectiveness. You see those bumps we're trying to catch? Those rollers, the current coming against you? That's the test. It's not about race. If you don't have the power, you cannot get on the bump and ride it, right? Because if you can go. There's not enough power to run against the current on an uphill climb to drop in on the backside. That's not going to happen. But if you have power, right? Here it comes. 1, 2. You're on it. Right? So you see how sticky the water is? Look, comes to a dead stop. Now flat water is actually easier than this because you're not running against the current or the tide dumping. So physics matter, right? And if you make a big cavitation, yes, I disagree with some dragon boat coaches. Where do you? You know what it's doing to my shoulders? The impact of hitting the water. The impact. Well, water is solid. It's not soft. You drop from a plane with no parachute. You hit the water. It's like hitting concrete. You're dead. So this hit, so I got hit through. It's okay in your 20s. You can have all your life to ruin your sockets. I say this to do this video because it makes no sense. All this thing you're doing, the force is translated from the hip all the way up your shaft onto your shoulder joint. And that's how I get shoulder injuries in all forms of paddling. Be it stand up. Every time you hyperextend your joint. And this is the problem with Outrigger stand up, because all the paddling. Yes, if you watch this video, subscribe to the channel. And if you have any questions, topics you want to cover, send it to me. Put it in the comment section or email me, and I'll try and address it. I don't charge for my lessons, except it's a one-on-one private coaching where you have to use up my time. Then yes, I do have to charge you for my time. But on Facebook, I don't do subscription. There's no, paid subscription. So I have nothing to, I have no axe to grind. I have nothing to, I'm not trying to sell you a Peloton membership or whatever that kind of thing is. I share this freely because I love the sport, and I want to share the knowledge with everybody. However, talking about proper technique, because proper technique allows you to use advanced equipment, and that's it.